All right, ladies and gentlemen, how are you today on this Sunday? I have a very important discussion I want to have quickly here. Well, maybe not quickly. You know how I do. Let's tuck my chain in here so it doesn't rattle. All right, let's talk. I'm going to drive and talk. I want to appeal to mainly to the fathers on child support. I also want to somewhat appeal to the women on child support. You'll understand more in a moment. I also want to appeal to the men who are not yet fathers but do aspire to become fathers one day. And lastly, I'd like to appeal to the women generally. But we're going to focus on those on child support, the men on child support specifically. Child support is a system that allegedly was designed to recoup the state's expenditures, all right, having to do with absent parents, and the government subsidies that would kick in for the, let's say, widow, for the fatherless, okay? That's what it was intended or is intended to address. Now, ask yourself a question. Do the mothers know this? Most of them know this, that's the intent behind the system. And are they aware that mothers have tried to sue the state because the state had failed to go after the father in certain cases to enforce child support? Do they know that? Are they aware of that? You can check out Blessings versus Freestone and We Hunt versus Ledbetter, I believe it was. And you'll see there that the judge said as much. This was not intended for you. You don't have any right, to child support enforcement. This was intended to benefit the state so that the state can get back its expenditures to subsidize families who didn't have another parent in the home. And so furthermore, I contend that the reason why there's such an outright and unfettered movement to basically subvert men, subject men, to strip them of their economy and their finances in the name of collecting for the benefit of a child. Which is merely, I contend, for the most part, just a mirage, just an aside, just a kind of something that's made up. The more and more I see this and I evaluate the situation and hear the stories, it's merely an excuse to get back because the relationship didn't work, an excuse to further have, the life, the woman's life further subsidized, yet another handout, etc., not diminishing the fact of the child's needs. That's not what I am speaking about or concerning. For I know that there are those needs. I understand that. But I wonder if you will evaluate with me and analyze several considerations. Before we go further, if, let's say the child is 10, or at an age where the child can pretty much monitor and watch him or herself, does not need a babysitter, in other words, does not need daycare, and is in school 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. How much funding, just that, not getting super complicated, how much funding would be necessary? You know, how much would need to be subsidized from a father who is in a different relationship, is raising his other children as well, and works a job, struggles like everybody else, deals with taxes, all of the whole kit and caboodle. The mom is also working a job and does not have to deal with the child for that 8-hour stint of time. This is 5 days a week. No daycare is necessary. Then the child comes home, sleeps for 8, so that only leaves, 6 hours of the day? So let's see, 6 and 8. So at school for 8 hours, then sleeps for 8 hours. That's 16. That leaves 8 hours left in the day. That's mom getting home. The child is probably playing video games most of the time. Sit down to eat dinner, maybe for an hour. So that leaves 7 hours. Plays video games for most of the night, or watches TV or movies. You see what I'm saying? And you're not really running errands all week long. You usually save that for the end of the week or the weekend. So what kind of subsidies are necessary for that? Now, my question, okay, that's a hypothetical. Now, my point is that the child doesn't need daycare. How much really is needed at that in that scenario? Probably little to none, right? No, how much support is really needed at that particular point in time? Now take into account that the mother has asked for majority placement. The mother has shared custody, but has asked for majority placement and fights tooth and nail to be awarded full placement. So, just given that scenario, why is it equitable for someone to receive, I'm trying to think of a number, $500 a month, let's just say that. I know it can be a whole lot more. But why is that necessary? Is it necessary so that she can pay the rent for a dwelling that she also has 3 other children living in? So am I subsidizing all of their living? Well, we know the answer to that. See, because if we were talking equity and what is equitable, if she has 4 children, perhaps I should be paying 25%. You see what I'm saying? But we don't need to, essentially, we don't need to strain at a gnat and swallow a camel here, okay? We don't need to nitpick. The point of the matter is that if the child is self-sustaining for the most part, at school 8 hours, sleeping for 8 hours, and then is off on their own until the next day, pretty much, doesn't need diapers, doesn't need wipes, then shouldn't the requirement of child support be relinquished at that point in time? Why is child support still needed at that point in time? At let's say age 10 or something like that, 11. What legitimate reason is child support needed at that particular point in time? Because in evaluating and in talking to another lady about the situation and posing that same scenario, they couldn't even find a reason why. There's really no reason for the guy, the father, to still be subject to child support at 10 years old. Not to mention altogether, but that's a whole nother discussion. I'm just rationally analyzing and listening to another lady's opinion. There is no reason. Both parents consensually made that child. Both parents full well knew that they were not married, so the baby would be born out of wedlock. Both knew that. Why is one parent being penalized and the other one is being rewarded? How is that justice? Where's the justification in that? Where's the equity in that? Where's the equal protection of the laws in that? I personally believe that there needs to be greater accountability on the woman's side for her role that she plays, because she's getting a pretty great deal in spite of the fact that she too should be perceived as irresponsible for unprotected sex. How does she come out with the sweet deal? Because she has to carry the baby for 10 months? That's why? Well, let's see. Is it the man's fault that she was born with the female reproductive system? Or is that, as you would say, God's decision and choice and blame? So are we holding the male accountable for the sexuality, gender, and reproductive system that she was given by God? Is that fair and equitable? Well, what do you mean the man is being held accountable? Because we're being asked to consider or to reason that she has to carry the baby for 10 months and she's doing you a favor by doing that. Only if I am the one that afflicted her with her condition. Then you could say that body that you created for her, she's using it in accordance with how you designed her to use it. Then you can say, so you have an obligation and a duty now because she's doing you a favor. Remember and recall, I laid with her consensually, and neither of us were really planning to have a baby, unless you were. Okay, let's keep apples and apples together and oranges together. Let's not go crazy here. Let's keep everything in context. So, since we both are at fault, both are to blame, and both of us are out of wedlock or had this child out of wedlock, then shouldn't that put us on equal ground? It wasn't me that designed her body to carry babies. It could have been me. I could have been the one carrying as a man. But that's not what the law of nature designed and created. And I did not have any influence on that. So why, again, am I being penalized for being a male, first off, and for her, and secondly, because she has female reproductive organs? Somehow I'm supposed to feel a sense of grief or a sense of guilt because of the way that her body is designed. And so so that's going to be leveraged against me and affect my economy and my current family's economy from now for 18 to 20 something years. How is that fair? And if you want to say, well, life ain't fair, then how is it equitable? Huh? Yeah, that's real talk. That's real talk. That's real talk. That might be too deep. That just might be too deep, because see, the real issue is not really about the child. It's about the vendetta. You know, the real issue is about the vendetta. It's about, you know, feeling scorned, you know, feeling entitled because the government and its systems have made you feel some sense of entitlement. However, again, the courts have said and ruled that the Title 4D, child support enforcement, was never intended to benefit the child or the mother. But see, they're not going to necessarily tell you all that. They're not going to tell you all that because they really need the woman to go after the men. They really need that. That's just like the slave master needed, you know, to denigrate, to subjugate, you know, to rape, to maim, cripple the man, whip the man in front of the woman, and empower her over the family to destroy the family, the family unit. Yeah, the very thing that keeps government in check is what they sought to destroy through the woman. You don't believe me? Go check it for yourself. That ain't my history. I didn't write it. That's not a book. That's legitimately what happened. So anyways, with that being said, and in closing, so I've personally, because I am an interested party, I have been affected by this personally. I'm not taking somebody else's, I'm not being a social justice warrior just for somebody else's matter. I've been personally affected by it. So then I'm going to personally deal with this situation and hopefully awaken others, as I said, focusing on the fathers who actively want to be involved in their child's life, who love their children legitimately, would give their life for their children, have even gone to great lengths in imagining what it would take, how far they would go to show just how much, you know, they love their child, you know, criminal thinking, cognitive thinking, all that kind of stuff, because we done thought some crazy things, gentlemen, and you know it's factual. We done thought some crazy things because they have taken our children from us. In a nice way. They've taken our children away nicely, but it hurt like hell. And it should not be, but it is. And so with that being said, it's time for us to do something about it. And let me just state how easy this can be and will be if we work together. I am not calling for anything drastic or radical. This is not an anti-government rant. In fact, I'm not even asking you to consider necessarily government per se. All I'm going to say to you is either this society, excuse me, I got a lot of traffic crossing, so I'm gonna make sure I focus on this traffic, and pedestrians are walking by too, so I gotta be very cautious here. So if I seem distracted, that's why. If you believe that that this country takes its basis upon the backs of men predominantly, then listen to what I have to say. Again, I'm not asking for anything radical. I'm not moving for anything radical. But imagine this. What if all men affected by the child support and the child support system refuse to go to work one day? Now, you'll say to me in response, wait a minute, man. I need my job. I cannot afford to not go to work. I'll be in a worse situation than even just dealing with child support. Duly noted. That's why I said I'm not saying anything or asking you to do anything radical. But what if you took a vacation day, one vacation day on a specific day that we as men who are affected by child support designate? What if we took one day and we show up in strength and in numbers and we just say, as a result, and to affect child support and to change this, we're not coming to work on this day. And it ain't that we're taking no pay. We're taking vacation day or sick day or whatever you got. That's what we're doing. What if we all just did that en masse as a whole, working together in sync, in one unity, speaking with one voice? Could you do that? Because I can assure you that when we do that, when we accomplish that, we will get their attention. Enough would be enough, because they wouldn't want it duplicated once we do it one time. Because I'm talking about this potentially can stretch worldwide. If you believe that this community in the U.S. speaking and the world at large rest upon the backs of men, and you want to make a showing of that, a demonstration of that, and you want to significantly overhaul child support, that's the way to do it. See, that's not radical. I'm not telling you arm up. I'm not telling you to converge on the Capitol. I'm not telling you to do nothing radical. Not at all. I'm even telling you to legitimately take a day off of work as opposed to just not working. Still get paid, baby, and we can make this happen. So, gentlemen, ladies, if you're involved, I know some of y'all are justice warriors too, and y'all don't like what y'all seeing either, and we appreciate that. But it's time to stop just being heard and stop bitching and griping without any remedy. It's time to stop that now. And so I'm calling for the day after. This is what I'm thinking right now. You let me know how this sounds to you all. I'm calling for us to not go to work. I'm calling for us not to go to work the first business day after I believe it's Labor Day. Is that the first weekend in September? I think that's Labor Day. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm calling for us all to take off. Put in your vacation time now, ahead of schedule. Everything legitimate, everything within reason. Spread this message to every man and woman that will. That first business day, I'm driving right now, so I can't look at my calendar. Whatever that first business day is, immediately following Labor Day, I want you to take that day off. Take that day off. Do not go to work. Spread this message. And secondly, what I want you to do, hold on, I gotta park. Secondly, what I want you to do is your Facebook, what is that called? Your cover photo or whatever. I want you to change it for the moment. I want you to change it. And I'll show you what it needs to change to. We're gonna change it, and it's gonna spread like wildfire. Everybody's gonna change it. We have to be one mind and one accord. And again, this is not an anti-government rant. Not even close. We have to work in sync on this. And you will see that things will change almost overnight. If you sincerely believe that this world rests on the back of men, then men, you need to show up in mass and in number. All right? I'd like to hear from you. I'm also going to start a Facebook page, and it will be known as Mandemic. Mandemic. All right? So you can look for that. Mandemic, I think it is. Like pandemic, but it'd be Mandemic. Because I contend that this is a huge issue worldwide, and it is a national and international emergency type situation, because what it is doing, it is stripping men of their potency, of their influence upon their families. Whether the family is divided or not, matters not, because when those children, as they grow up without that father around, because the mother and father can't get along, they can't work together, this is a public health announcement. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a mandemic. And ladies, let me tell you like this. I know that, you feel like you got to pick a side here. That's not what my intent is, but I'm going to tell you like this. When we get this together, you're going to clearly know who the good men are. So we're even going to do you a favor. To see men show up in mass, in strength, one mind, one accord, and in unity for the love of their child and children. It's going to clearly show those quality men that you keep saying that the world is now lacking in. You see? So we're even going to do you a favor. So it would behoove you to get on board with us. There's your incentive. If you're not involved in the child support and you're not hung up on, woman's lib and all that kind of stuff, and what is that called? I forget what it's called. And you legitimately care, and you want good men to come forward and be, easily picked out or whatever, here's your chance. Here's your opportunity. Jump on board with Mandemic. Look for it on the Facebook. I'm going to start working on that. Perhaps even tonight, I'll start to build the Mandemic page. Also, look on that page, because I'm going to show you what you need to change your Facebook page cover photo to. And then I'll also put the information about taking that day, that first business day, immediately following the Labor Day weekend. Let's make it happen. All right. Apologize if this is so long, but it's time. I've had enough. You had enough? You had enough? I assure you that we will make traction and things will change almost overnight. When all men everywhere that are find themselves subjected to this child support system, when they refuse to go to work one day, because you know what? If we do it one day, we can plan it again And next time we make it 2 days vacation. So keep a good one. Make sure you got some vacation time, fellas and ladies. You're going to need it. All right. They're going to listen. They're going to listen. And guess what? You ain't losing your job because you did the legitimate thing by putting in your vacation slip. Are you feeling me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you ready? You got $40,000, $100,000 in child support? Watch this. Get busy. All right? You got the plan. Get busy. And spread this like wildfire. Make it go freaking viral. We're going to have t-shirts made, everything. The whole kit and caboodle. I'll give you all those details. Look for the Mandemic, Mandemic, Facebook page. I'm going to start creating that almost immediately. If it's not done tonight, it will be done within the next day or two. All right? Mandemic. Look for it.